Ah, now listen close, for I will sing to thee of lords and ladies fair, of knights errant and dragons dire, of magic spells and battles won, of all the tales that bards have spun since first they had a harp and rhyme to string it to, and I will do this without so much as adding any instruments at all to my own unaccompanied voice. The very definition of a minstrel, in fact, is one who sings in a style that is medieval and without instruments. So let us begin. And if you enjoy this, there's more where that came from. There's a whole playlist of medieval music and songs waiting for you to discover it. Just follow the link in the description. A minstrelsy was a performance tradition that flourished in medieval Europe between the 9th and the 16th centuries. It featured traveling musicians, usually solo performers or small groups of 2 or 3, singing a repertoire of songs and ballads that had been transmitted orally down through many generations. They were called many things, including minstrel, which came from the Latin ministerialist, meaning servant jongler, which came from Old French jong, meaning to jest or make merry, and geschich, which came from German literally meaning poet, but also glossed as song poet. These wandering musicians would have been familiar sights along the roadsides and in the marketplaces of medieval Europe. Much of what we know about the minstrel tradition comes from literary sources such as the epic poems of the 12th century, French troubadours, and the Italian novella. These works often idealized their subject matter, portraying minstrels as noble figures who elevated the status of secular song. But in reality, traveling musicians were more likely to be viewed with suspicion by the authorities as vagrants or even beggars, especially during times when they weren't employed by a wealthy patron. That said, it was still possible for a talented performer to earn a good living touring the countryside and entertaining audiences with his music. Some minstrels even achieved celebrity status within their lifetimes. As far as their appearance and equipment went, you can imagine them as a sort of medieval one-man band, carrying around a portable harp or a viol, a medieval fiddle, a bagpipe or other wind instrument, and sometimes they would carry a drum. Often these instruments would be made while they traveled, so they might spend some time in one place honing their skills in making music before moving on. As well as their instruments, they would carry a ballad book containing the various stories and verses that they would perform. What kinds of songs did minstrels sing? They sang about everything that the people of the time would have cared about, so their repertoire would have included songs about local heroes, both real and fictional, stories of courtly love and chivalric adventure, religious themes, topical humor, social commentary, drinking songs, and bawdy tavern songs. In other words, they would have sung about whatever their audience wanted to hear. Today we are focusing on the storytelling aspect of minstrelsy and how the music they performed wove together a rich tapestry of sound that enhanced the narratives they conveyed. Because, although oral tradition had kept these stories alive for centuries, it was the minstrels' music that gave them new life at every turn. The music helped to set the scene for each story, whether it was a tale of daring adventure or a ballad of lost love. The minstrels' songs painted vivid pictures in the listeners' minds. The use of instruments, even solo voice, added depth and emotion to the storytelling, and the combination of music and poetry created a truly unforgettable experience for the audience. Music played a key role in establishing the mood or atmosphere of a particular scene. A lively jig, for instance, might accompany a tale of heroic deeds, while a mournful air would underscore a tragic love story. The use of instruments allowed minstrels to evoke a wide range of emotions and to fully immerse their listeners in the world of the story. Beyond setting the scene, the music also helped to propel the narrative forward. Upbeat tempos and driving rhythms might emphasize moments of excitement or danger, while slower, more reflective passages allowed the audience to absorb the emotional impact of key plot twists or character developments. In this way, the music served as a kind of dramatic undercurrent, guiding the listener's attention to the most crucial aspects of the story. It's important to remember that medieval audiences were typically more attuned to the subtleties of instrumental music than we might expect today. In fact, many of the musical elements that enriched the storytelling would have been immediately recognizable to contemporary listeners. This familiarity enabled the audience to engage more fully with the narrative, anticipating key moments and sharing in the emotional journey of the characters. Sometimes the music itself became an integral part of the story. Instrumental interludes or embedded songs could function as symbolic representations of key characters or recurring motifs within the narrative. For example, a plaintive flute solo might come to symbolize the tragic fate of a doomed lover, while the clashing of swords could be represented by a rapid, percussive motif on the viol. In these cases, the music transcended its role as mere accompaniment and became an expressive element of the story in its own right. When we listen to examples of medieval music today, it's easy to appreciate the artistry and skill involved in composing and performing these pieces. However, we must also consider the historical context in which they were created and performed. These songs and ballads were not just meant to be enjoyed as isolated musical compositions, but rather as vibrant components of a rich oral tradition that thrived in medieval Europe. They were designed to captivate and enthrall an audience eager for tales of love, adventure, and heroism. And finally, it's worth noting that the minstrel tradition not only reflected the interests of its audience, but also helped to shape them by popularizing certain themes and motifs. Minstrels may have influenced how medieval listeners perceived the world around them. In a sense, the music they performed acted as a kind of cultural touchstone, reinforcing shared values, beliefs, and emotions within a community. In conclusion, the art of minstrelsy offers a fascinating glimpse into the world of medieval Europe. By exploring the storytelling techniques and musical elements employed by minstrels, we gain a deeper appreciation for the richness and complexity of medieval culture. The combination of music and poetry created a powerful and evocative experience for medieval audiences, and the themes and motifs that resonated throughout the minstrels' repertoire continue to captivate listeners today. So now I want to tell you about a few of my favorite songs that embody the spirit of minstrelsy. Let's start with Sumer's Ikemenin, which is a 13th century English song. This piece showcases the intricate polyphony and lively rhythms characteristic of medieval music. Its lyrics celebrate the arrival of summer, and the music's joyous exuberance perfectly captures the essence of the season. Listen closely to the interwoven vocal lines and the subtle use of counterpoint, which was a compositional technique that allowed multiple melodies to interact harmoniously. This song exemplifies the sophistication and skill of medieval musicians and their ability to create complex yet accessible compositions. Next, I'd like to highlight Sir Patrick Spens, a traditional Scottish ballad. This song tells the tale of Sir Patrick Spens, a Scottish nobleman who perished at sea. The lyrics are dramatic and emotionally charged, and the melody has a haunting quality that underscores the tragedy of the tale. Notice how the song's structure serves to enhance the narrative. The verses build suspense, creating a sense of foreboding as the listener is drawn into the story. Then there's Lech, Mich Imash. Now this is a little rude. Why? Well, take a look at the title. Yeah, I'm not gonna translate it. This song dates back to the Middle Ages, but we don't know too much about it. So here's your chance to leave a comment down below if you know anything. What we do know is that it's a pretty raunchy drinking song that doesn't hold back with its lyrics. If minstrels were often viewed with suspicion by the authorities, this is the kind of song that probably had something to do with that. And finally, let's conclude with Scarborough Fair. Now, you may recognize this one. It was famously covered by Simon and Garfunkel, but this song actually dates back to the medieval period, and its haunting melody and lyrics have captivated listeners for centuries. The song tells the story of a young woman who receives a mysterious warning from her lover as he departs on a sea voyage. As the song progresses, the lyrics become increasingly cryptic, leaving the listener to ponder the true meaning behind her lover's words. Now, there are several versions of this song, and I encourage you to explore different recordings to see how its melody and lyrics have evolved over time. Each interpretation offers a unique perspective on this timeless tale. These are just a few examples of the many wonderful songs that capture the spirit of minstrelsy. I encourage you to delve deeper into the world of medieval music and discover your own favorites. And if you enjoy this video, please like it and subscribe to our channel. We're always looking for interesting topics to cover, and your feedback helps us find them. Thanks for watching.